Hello, everyone. This is question 21 of our 100 clinically oriented anatomy questions. So let's jump straight into it. The question says the news reported that the 58-year-old ambassador received a slashing wound to the upper medial thigh and died from exsanguination in less than 2 minutes. By the way, exsanguination means excessive blood loss. What was the most likely nature of his injury? A. The femoral artery was cut at the inguinal ligament. B. A vessel or vessels were injured at the apex of the femoral triangle. C. The femoral vein was transected at its junction with the saphenous vein. D. The medial circumflex femoral was severed at its origin. E. The deep femoral artery was divided at its origin. Let's check the question again. They said the slashing wound to the upper medial thigh. Now, I believe majority of people might want to say the correct answer here is option A. Well, myself, the answer was option A when I saw the question first time. It was when I solved it and I actually thought about the other options. I came to conclude that the answer was actually not option B. So the correct answer to the question is option B. The correct answer to the question is option B, which is a vessel or vessels were injured at the apex of the femoral triangle. So the apex point of the femoral triangle is the meeting point or is formed by the meeting point of the sartorius muscle and the adductor longus muscle. And it is at this point that the Hunter's canal or the subsartorial canal or the adductor canal, anyone you want to call it, and that is where it starts from, right? So at this point, it's a very, very important anatomical landmark, such that at this point, you have four important vessels that line up at that point. The femoral artery, the femoral vein, the deep femoral artery, and the deep femoral vein all line up on top of one another at that point. That is the apex of the femoral triangle and the starting point of the adductor canal. So it's a very, very important landmark. It's very, very important anatomical landmark. It is at that point that you have those four important vessels line up. So an injury or a cut around that region is going to cause a severe blood loss that can lead to death in very few minutes if no medical attention is given. All right, so the correct answer is option B. So a vessel or vessels were injured at the apex of the femoral triangle. That is the femoral triangle is present in the upper part of the medial thigh, which makes it still correct. So let's go through the other options and see why they are wrong. Option A, the femoral artery was cut at the inguinal ligament. So at the inguinal ligament, you have the continuation of the external iliac artery as the femoral artery. So an injury to this point is also, of course, going to cause blood loss, but it will not be as severe as the one that will happen at point B, which is option B basically. So option C, the femoral vein was transected at the junction with the saphenous vein. So the femoral vein, the great saphenous vein drains into the femoral vein at the fossa ovalis or at the saphenous opening. Option D, the medial circumflex femoral was severed at its origin. So the medial circumflex femoral artery branches up from the profunda femoris artery or the deep femoral artery a few inches below the inguinal ligament and then goes to supply the head and the neck of femur, gives branches to the cruciate anastomosis, gives branches to the trochanteric anastomosis. Option E, the deep femoral artery was divided at its origin. The deep femoral artery dividing at its origin does not add up to what we need here. So all these arteries, actually all these junctions, you can have injury to them, right? And it will lead to blood loss. That is, at the inguinal ligaments, the femoral artery can be cut and it will lead to blood loss. The femoral vein can be cut, the saphenous vein can be cut at its junction, that is at the fossa ovalis where it drains into the femoral vein. There will also be blood loss here. Option D, the medial circumflex was severed at its origin from the profunda femoris. It is also possible, and there will still be blood loss at this point also. The deep femoral artery can also be cut at its origin, and it branches off from the femoral artery. So at its origin, it can also be cut, and blood loss will also happen. But then all the blood loss that will happen here, they are not as severe as the blood loss that will happen at the apex of the femoral triangle, where you have four important vessels lined up, one on top of the other. Do you get? So that is why this is the most severe point. This is the most severe point of injury that can lead to death in less than 2 minutes. So I believe you understand the question, and I hope you gained, and I will see you in the next episode. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.